Well, oh my goodness. Hello, wonderful educators. This is J.O. Waters, your Oasis mentor here. And I am super, super excited about our guest today. We met at a beautiful conference, and she's going to have to remind me of the name.
The Attachment Trauma Network Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference.
Yes. And she did the most beautiful yoga practices with us in the mornings. And it was just transformative. And I just felt her energy, her spirit. I was like, I have to know more about this person. She's just beautiful inside and out. And I was like, oh, please come and talk to us on Oasis because we just need to know more about the wonderful Megan Yoder. So, welcome her to Oasis for Teachers. Yeah,
Hi, guys.
doing today, Megan. It is so
Oh,
good to see you.
I am so good. I am so good. It is so good to see you. I'm so glad to see you. Like when I saw that on my calendar again this morning, I was like, yes. Is the you talked about how you felt connected to my energy. I felt the same thing when like you walked in. I mean, I also was just thrilled that anyone was showing up to my yoga session because it was 6 a.m. And so I was like, oh, yay, friends. But I just felt your
Love it.
energy and just your joy, especially through your smile and your eyes. Your eyes just shine when you're happy.
Wow.
And I don't know, I just felt this connection to you too. And I was like, yep, I must know more about this woman.
I love that. So, I mean, tell us just more about you. Tell us about you, whatever you
Ooh.
feel like we want to know. And I definitely want to hear about, um, we'll talk about in a little bit how you got into yoga. But just in general, what do you do?
Okay, so I am a teacher. I'm the director of the Reno County Learning Center in Hutchinson, Kansas. And so I work with teenagers and adults who are working to get their high school diplomas. And so traditional brick and mortar schools didn't work out for them for whatever reason. And so they've ended up
Mm.
here, and I just get to walk alongside them. And we are a smaller space. And so we get to just really sit hip to hip with people and honor where they are for the day. We don't have bells or schedules or anything like that. So even if
Oh,
someone
wow.
shows up that day, cool. I'm glad to see you.
I love that.
Didn't
Oh,
get your work
wow.
any done, but we sat and we chatted for a while. Cool.
Hmm.
That's work. That's
Wow.
progress, right? Like maybe that person struggled to put on pants that day, you know?
Yeah, I
So
got
I'm
you.
just glad to see anybody who walks in our door. And yeah, it's great.
Wow.
Uh,
What age groups are at your school?
So high school, so freshmen as old as they want to be, a 99-year-old could walk in and enroll, and I would take them. So I've been here for 5 years, and my oldest
Okay.
graduate was 67.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she wanted to graduate with her grandson, and she did.
Wow. Oh, what a
Yeah.
cool story. I love that.
It was so
So,
cool. Yeah, we have some just really incredible people. And I think that's the best part of what I get to do is I get to see these people change and evolve over time. So like one of my girls that's graduating this year, when she came to us 2 years ago, she was just very guarded and just had
mm,
that RBF,
yeah,
right? You
yeah, I
don't
get it.
want to approach her. She seems scary. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about your feelings. Like, she doesn't care if she offends you, right? She's
Yeah.
that person. She had no emotion except anger. Well, she
Mm,
has transformed a lot and she's taken on a huge leadership role. And so
wow.
our company runs a kindergarten conference. And so we took it
Mm,
across the state of Kansas this year. And because of her leadership that we were seeing, we're like, we need to take Addie with us to help
wow.
us run this conference so smoothly. And she was a rock star.
Mm,
She got to meet the commissioner of education for the state of Kansas, Dr.
wow.
Randy Watson. And he was
Wow.
asking her, like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, well, I really think I want to be a teacher. And he said,
Oh,
I want you to join my apprenticeship program.
wow.
And so she just got accepted to Fort Hays State University in the education
Wow.
program. Her college will be free,
Wow.
be hired as a para while she is working inside of a school district where she will apprentice. And so
Wow.
she's going to get paid. She'll have health insurance. Her college will be free and she'll have a 4-year degree.
Wow. How
Right?
incredible is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I
It's,
love
I get to
that.
just watch incredible stories
Yeah. And I'm
happen.
sure you love that because, wow, the
Yeah.
impact that you're making. And then what I wonder, we never know. And there's so many different infinite possibilities. but what would that have been if she had not gone that route with your school? So I
Right.
love that. That's incredible.
Mhm.
So
It's
tell
just
me,
amazing to get to
I
see stories
know.
like that happen all the time.
I think we feel that as teachers just in general, but especially in the work that you do, because yours is your school is a little different than say what I'm experiencing in the public school system, right? So what inspired you to become a yoga teacher and then working with the youth with yoga?
Yeah, okay, great question. So, I was a competitive swimmer. I joined the competitive team when I was 8, and
Um,
so, I think it was when I was 10, we had this wild coach from California come in, and he started having us do these, what we called dry land practices. So we were doing
huh.
exercises and stuff on the deck before we
Yes.
got in the pool. Now that
Ah,
I reflect on that, I'm like, "That was yoga." But
yes.
in
Yes.
Kansas, we never would have called it yoga, right?
Mm-mm, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that.
And so I just realized, I'm like, "Oh, I've literally been doing yoga since I was 8 years old."
Amazing. Wow, without knowing it, love it.
Yeah, without knowing it. And then I took some yoga classes in college, like actual formal yoga classes, right? And I just like felt the change in me. I felt myself getting healthier, and
Yes.
my energy being stronger, and I just had this self-esteem boost. I just felt overall better about myself mentally, physically, spiritually. I felt
Yes.
motivated to do things and help people. My body felt amazing, and
Yes.
I just felt all of those benefits. And so when I got
Mhm.
an opportunity to become licensed, I knew I wanted to do that, and so I did. And at the time when I got licensed, I was teaching in a seventh grade middle school, teaching family and consumer science. That's what my degree is in. And
Okay.
we had these enrichment classes that we did. And so I went to the school board and was like, hey, could I teach mindfulness and yoga as my enrichment class? And they were like,
Oh, wow.
absolutely. And took
Really?
off, and we started seeing increases in attendance, overall satisfaction at school.
Mm-hmm.
Some resilience was getting built,
Yeah.
and figured out it was the mindfulness practices and the yoga.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm learning as I've been in this space that all the research is showing that. It is literally showing how the school, the students, the teachers, the environment, everything changes overall. It improves in so many different areas when those mindfulness practices are put in place. I think that that's so incredible. I understood what you were saying because I had a very similar, well, I wasn't doing it from when I was 8, but when I started doing it, like I started noticing a difference in myself in every area. It was
Mhm.
physical, it was mental, it was spiritual. I saw my anxiety
Yeah.
subsiding and the depression going away. Like I was happier with life and I felt more at peace and I was more patient and it was tied into the yoga. And you just it's like it happens before you know it and then you realize like, oh, this is actually this is doing something. And it's
Yeah.
pretty, yeah, it seems really simple, like it's just you're just stretching, but it's more than that. It's more than just stretching. It's more than that. We'll dive a little deeper. But yeah, I think that that's incredible. I know you've already talked about you worked with those high schoolers. Tell us about like what specialized training did you have to get to? I know you said you were excited about being certified. What was that training that you had to get in order to be able to be a certified yoga teacher?
Yeah, so it was all online, and it was through a company called Yoga Ed, and I believe it has been absorbed into Breathe for Change, and
Mm-hmm.
they're an incredible company as well. And so
Yes.
it was watching the training videos and learning how to write the lesson plans and how to move your body safely and what things to look
Mm-hmm.
out for, like in certain poses, like make sure your knee is directly
Yes.
above your ankle and not
Mhm.
forward, right? Those
Yeah,
things
yeah, yeah,
that
I
you're like,
know.
oh, that would make sense. You wouldn't want your knee ahead of
Mm.
your ankle, right? You're going to
Yes.
tear an ACL, MCL, or whatever LCL, uh,
Whatever ail.
whatever LCL. Yeah. Yeah. And, and so they just went through all of those things of how to do it safely and correctly and how to breathe and really breathe. Like that's one thing, like, especially as Americans, like we don't breathe
No,
correctly.
no, we
And
don't.
they taught us how to breathe correctly. And then,
Yeah.
I got certified in the trauma informed approaches of that
Mhm.
yoga certification. And that was life changing for me too. So,
Mhm.
they taught us phrases that we never want to say. Like in yoga, it's very common for yoga teachers to say, relax.
Mm.
That could be triggering for somebody.
Yeah.
And we could be triggering someone and not mean to.
Mhm.
Trauma informed yoga is best done in a circle so no one's ever behind you and you don't feel like you're exposed. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
come on, our butt is in the air all the
Yeah.
time.
Literally.
And so, like no one wants to be in the front row. The person
I
behind you
love
is
that.
having to look past your butt, seating
Yes.
posture, right?
Yeah.
Like, no one likes that feeling.
That's
And
really good,
so if
Megan.
we're all in a circle,
Yes.
nobody's exposed.
Yeah, that's really good.
And as a teacher, it's easier to teach in a circle.
It is. It is. I like what you said about the relax because I think about especially those who have experienced like sexual trauma or abuse. A lot of times the abuser, that's some of the terminology they'll use. They'll say relax. And
Right.
so I can see how that would be triggering, but we say that and yo, that's, I mean, it's, you wouldn't think of it. So that's pretty incredible. And with the groups that you're, or the students that you're working with, you just have to be really sensitive and mindful of that. So that's my next step. I think that's just so cool because I just got my teacher certification, the yoga, and I got it from Breathe for Change. And I was like, what? So that is my next step. I want to get the trauma informed as well, because I think that takes it another level, and then learning about more about the body
Mhm.
and certain triggers and things that you hold in your body. I know it takes it to a different level. And I want to say too, because I've done some yoga where like we're using the blocks.
Yeah.
And sometimes like we're putting it on our backs and we're laying like on the blocks and it's like you're just there. You're laying there, but the block is there, or you're lining it on your back
Mhm.
and you're just laying there. And it's been times sometimes I had to kind of breathe through it because depending on how you do it's a slight discomfort with it. But
Yeah.
there's been times like I've been emotional, like doing yoga, right? I
I'm
have.
so glad you brought that up because do you know what that is?
Tell me about it.
That's your body releasing trauma.
Wow.
That's another thing you'll learn when you get to do the trauma informed part of it. Have
Mhm.
you ever been in a pose and your hips start to shake?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So women, we store trauma in our hips. So
Yeah.
your body is releasing that.
Wow. That's
And that's why you get
incredible.
emotional or
Yes.
you shake
I've had
extra hard.
times that yeah, I've had many times that not all the time. And then sometimes I'm smiling and I'm like, this just feels amazing.
Yes.
And then
And
there's
that's one of
been
the things
others. Yeah, go ahead.
That's one of the things I love about yoga. It is for, I'm not going to say everybody, it's every
Yes.
body, every
Yes.
body,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like yoga can be modified in so many
Yes.
ways, and people just don't
Definitely.
understand that that is true, right? They
Exactly.
think you have to be flexible in order to do yoga, and that's not true.
Yes.
We can get you
No.
there, right? And
Exactly.
there's all kinds of supports that you can have in order, if you need a chair under you to support you in a warrior one
Mhm.
position, cool. Do
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then also just understanding like our own body anatomy sometimes isn't ever going to let you in a certain pose. Like I've
No.
been trying to do flying lizard for years. Okay. I can't get it. But because I realized
Mm.
my torso is longer than my thigh, I am never going to get my
Ah,
shoulder hooked under my knee because my body is extended farther than my leg.
you can't do it.
I can't do it.
Yeah. I'm
And so
still
I'm
trying to figure out tree pose. I can't get my foot. I can grab my foot and put it in my thigh, but when
Mhm.
I let go, it just says shoop. I don't know how to get it to stay
Okay.
up there. I'm like, how do you stay? Everything
Okay.
is like shoop, and then it goes shoop every single
Yes.
time.
Okay. I used to have that same problem. Those are tight hip flexors. So do some hip
Ah,
flexor work before you
okay.
go into tree. Loosen those up because that's your hip flexor going, nope.
I, and then I literally like if I stand at the wall or get some support, if I'm standing, if I hold it there with my hand, it'll stay. As soon
Mhm.
as I let it go, it's like, no, we're not staying. So I was like, how are they doing this pose? But I figured I would get it over time. I didn't know if it was just I wasn't flexible or what's going on. Okay, that's good to know. I'm gonna work on that. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes think certain things come with time too.
Yes.
And I know when I first started doing yoga too, or just even kind of hearing about yoga and being exposed to it, for me, like I didn't see people that look like me doing
Mm.
yoga.
Mhm.
So not just the color of my skin, but yeah, it's same though. It's not like a lot of people that I hung like a lot of my friends and people that I hang out with, it's not like they were like, hey, you should do yoga. Even my life coach that introduced me to it, she's an African American woman, but she just has a different mindset. She's very spiritual, she's very open-minded. And so with me growing up in the church, it was like, to me, I almost felt like it was a no-no. Yoga, meditation,
Mhm.
spiritual, certain things. It's like you don't do those things. And then I was really overweight. I was not flexible. And to me, yoga was like this super skinny, perky, like I do yoga and they're very flexible. They're doing splits and handstands and all of these things and all these poses. And you're like, or they're like the tree hugger type people that you think are like super weird. But now I get the tree huggers. Like I get the hippies now. Like I'm getting it now. Like, oh, okay, yes, I see you. I get you now. Because it's just once you start like opening up your mind to certain experiences that aren't bad, I think it's a negative connotation to it because people just don't know.
Yeah.
But to know that this is a beautiful thing, there's a mind, body, spirit connection, and
Mhm.
you're working on those things and you're learning about your body and you're learning about your
Mhm.
mind and your spirit. Like it's all connected, and you wouldn't think just getting on that mat and doing those things is doing that, but it
Yeah.
is. And so
Yeah.
yeah,
And I also like to offer, it's also an earth connection too.
yeah, oh, I
Like
love that.
just
Yeah.
getting to walk through grass for 5 minutes bare feet.
Yeah,
Oh.
yep. She would tell me that too.
Mhm.
She would say, Jamina, go outside and walk. I used to do, I love, and it literally is just bringing this back to my mind now. When I was younger, growing up, I used to love to do that all the time. Like that was one of my favorite things to do was to go outside and walk in the grass. And just as I got older, some of the time, like even when I was a teenager and all, I still enjoyed it. But then as I got older and just experienced life and all those things, I stopped doing that. And
Mhm.
just recently, within the past maybe like couple of years, I started back doing that again. She told me to do it. And then when I started, I was like, oh, I remember this. This is one of my happy places. And
Oh, that's so
so,
awesome.
isn't that cool? So it's
Mm.
amazing sometimes how things just come like full circle. I think
Mhm.
certain things or people in general, like you were meant to do, or it was already like, it was already shown to you certain things. And then later on in life, it's revealed again if you don't continue in it. It's
Yeah.
going to present itself again because it's meant for you. It's a thing.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I want to hear too more about SDAC and
Yeah.
that organization that you work with. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so ESDAC is an acronym. It's the Educational Service Center across Central Kansas. Okay. So we are a group of educational consultants, and we travel literally worldwide. We've had some of our consultants go to like New Zealand and China
Wow.
and places like that and present
Mhm.
things. And so we've
Wow.
got several different departments, right? So like I'm a part of the resilience team. So we do a lot of trainings in trauma-informed practices,
Mhm.
resiliency, things like
Yeah.
that. And then we've got another team that does like energy and leadership work, which is
Mm.
phenomenal stuff too.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and then we've got our curriculum specialists too, like just those champions in reading and
Yeah.
math that are out in buildings helping people, navigate their data and create plans to help catch these kids up in reading and math and all of those stuff. And so And then also SDAC has learning, 7 learning centers like mine. There's 7 of us across the state of Kansas. And
Wow.
we're all doing the
Yeah,
work. And so
that's amazing.
yeah, it's the best. So I technically have
Wow.
two jobs inside of this company. So I'm the director of the Learning Center where I help people get their
Yeah.
diplomas, and then I get to go out and do educational consulting. And so my
Wow.
expertise is in like brain-based regulation and mindfulness and
Mhm.
the yoga and the
I love
SEL
that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And so
love that. That's so important. So
mhm.
tell me about what for teachers that are curious or they want to do these things with their students or see the benefits. What are some things that you do with your students as far as yoga? Like, what's the terminology? I know even for Breathe for Change, we talked about like I don't go into my class and I'm not like, we're doing yoga today, guys. Let's do some yoga. Let's do some mindfulness, let's breathe, it's more, it's mindful movement, or we're gonna just move. We're gonna move, we're gonna breathe.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the
Another
terminology, or how do you like adapt it for your classroom? What does that look like?
Yeah. So definitely like kind of what you said, mindful movement, that kind of thing, mindful listening. So I will ask, I won't say it at first. I'll just say, everyone close your eyes
Mm-hmm.
and let's just have silence for a minute. And
Mm.
then I'll have them tell me, okay, what sounds did you hear? Right. And then
Mm.
they'll say, oh, well, I heard someone click their pen. I heard someone sneeze. I heard a door close. And then I'm like, okay, now let's close our eyes again and let's purposefully listen. And so
Mm.
close your eyes and listen.
Yeah.
And they'll do that for like 30 seconds or so. And I'm like, okay, now what did you hear? And people are like, oh, I heard the lights. I heard a car outside. I heard someone
Wow.
talking. I heard people breathing. They were able to take in so much
Mhm.
more. And so
Yeah.
then we go in and talk about how when we are purposefully doing things, we notice so much more. So how could we
Mhm.
purposefully notice somebody today, right? Could we look
Wow.
somebody in the eye and really try and see what their eyes are saying? Maybe
Yeah.
their mouth is saying they're fine, but their eyes don't say that,
Yeah.
right? Or mindful eating. They loved mindful eating. So I would give them all a Hershey's Kiss.
Huh.
Obviously, I would check all of everybody's
Yeah,
allergies,
yeah. No, no, no. I get it. Yeah, of
right?
course.
So Hershey's Kiss. Okay, hold it on your tongue. Can you find the butter?
Wow.
Can you feel the sugar granules coating your teeth?
Wow.
Right? So like the next time you have chips and salsa, like take a bite and purposefully try and find the cilantro flavor. I mean, that tastes
Wow.
like soap to you. Or then like, ooh, what other spices might be in here that I'm not aware of, right? So mindful eating is just
Oh,
slowing down and finding the ingredients that you know are in
yes.
there.
I love that.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's so cool, girl. I love that.
Another one, because all like mindfulness and yoga, it's all about like rewiring the brain for a more positive outlook. And so, like, one of
Mhm.
my two of my favorite practices are
Okay.
mantras.
Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I always did this journaling prompt. It's called Joyful Things for 30 Days. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always started it on the first of every month. I mean, you could technically start it whenever you want. It's
Yeah.
just easy when it's the first of
Yeah.
the month, right?
Yeah.
So the first of the month, write down one thing that brought you joy today. And I
Mhm.
always told my students, I'm not looking for a full sentence. I'm not looking for
Mhm.
a paragraph. One thing that brought you
Mhm.
joy. This cup of tea may be
Yeah.
it. Maybe that's the only thing that brought me joy today. So I
Yeah.
write down tea, right?
Yeah.
And so then the next day, I'm going to write my next thing, but I'm going to go back and reread everything I've previously written.
Yes.
So by the time
Yes.
you get to day 30 or 31,
Hmm.
you have read
Yes.
the list over and over, and you're more aware of how much joy you actually have in your life. And it's the little things.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe you do write down it was the vacation you took on Christmas break, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
riding the dolphins at Disney Ocean, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
it was a big thing, but majority of the time, it's the little things that matter that brought you the joy. And
It's
so then you can
true.
become more aware of those things,
You
right?
do. Those little things that you don't think about and
Yeah.
that you just take them for granted and then you realize like, yeah, I started doing that and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. But one, yeah, I'm going to go. One of the ones that um, I put like sleep.
Yes.
I said sleep, and it wasn't even like a big. I was like, oh, just being able to sleep, like that brought me joy that I could just sleep. Yeah,
Yes.
it
And
was
this is
just
one of my favorite things about this practice. I've been doing it for years, and it
wow.
only takes 12 pieces of paper for an entire year. If you
Ah,
buy if you buy a beautiful notebook, you will have years of memory
wow.
in your notebook, and you can go back and
That's
you'll
really
remember
cool.
things. Like I
Hmm.
remember that January 1st of 2019, we started the new year with snow. And
Yeah.
I only remember that because I wrote about it and
Hmm.
I've read it. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
there's just little funny moments
I
and
know.
fun, funny, silly, whatever that happen in life that easily can be forgotten unless you've written it
Yeah.
down and read it
You're
more.
right. Yeah, I am a big fan of journaling. And then like same thing, I've gone back and I've looked at things that I've journaled. Like, wow. And I saw my mindset and I saw certain things that happened and I'm looking back to and like, wow, or how far you come or things you're thankful for or like, wow, I sometimes too when I'm feeling a certain way about a situation and then I realize like, wow, Jamina, but I'm not there. Like I'm not, look how far you come. And wow, I'm really blessed. So I love that too. And someone just for my birthday this past oh, it was yesterday. So birthday, someone gave me a gratitude journal. And
Oh,
I've heard a lot about gratitude. I haven't done one specifically just gratitude only. And so I was like, yes. And she got it. It was blue. She got blue, which is interesting because purple is my favorite color. But she was like, I got you blue. And it's like literally, it's almost like the same color as the as Oasis. That's the Oasis logo. And I just thought that was just so cool. And this is becoming one of my favorite colors too. I don't know. Yeah. But I love purple, but blue is becoming my thing as well. I'm noticing. So interesting.
so interesting enough, we talk about this creature connection we have. Purple is also my favorite color.
Oh, Megan, it's meant to be.
Tina. I know. I think we're sisters separated at birth or something. I don't know. We'll figure
All
this connection.
right. And so I want to know, like, what are some of, I know you talked about those practices that you do. Tell me, are there any like favorite yoga poses that you do with them that you really enjoy doing with them?
So the kids, of course, being teenagers, they love the challenging poses, right?
Okay.
They love to attempt the headstands.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And they really like the things that really get you twisted, right? So, like
Okay.
maybe goddess pose,
Mhm.
pretzel, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. They like to see how
Wow.
twisted they can get. And then they come out of it and they're like, dang, my back feels better. And I'm like, baby, you're not old enough to have back problems yet. Sit down. Don't talk to me about your back
I
hurting.
know. I know, right? And so,
Um,
so with it being older or young adults or teenagers, do you get like the pushback, or if is it ever a situation where you have, students who are they're distracted or they're resistant? And then how do you handle like those situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm always about, I will never make somebody do something that they don't want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So that's just showing respect.
Yes.
And it's working with people instead of power over. I just believe in the power of working with. So
Yeah.
maybe today they don't want to join, or they say they don't want to. And then as we get into it, suddenly they join us. You know
Mm,
what I mean? I just
yeah.
allow them to have the space to say, no, thanks, not today. And eventually I have all of my students doing yoga. And maybe
Yeah.
it's not all at the same time or on the same day, but everybody in here has done yoga with me. And
Wow.
sometimes it just depends on the day for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The boys, they really like it when sometimes I'll just be like, you're not stronger than me anyway. Boom, I've got him, right? Like, I bet you can't outplank me.
Wow. I love that. The
I'm
competition,
able,
they love the competition, so that's
right.
drawing them in. That's so smart.
Right. But I'm able to tease my kids that way. I mean, I know not everybody has that relationship with their students, but like I'm
Yeah.
able to do that with my kids because we are all in the same room for 8 hours a day. So we're all
Yeah, I got you.
and especially my boys, they also like the faster movement. So
Okay.
when we were at that conference and I did that round with you guys where it was from down dog to plank. with every
Mm-hmm.
breath, right? It was inhale, go back to down dog,
Yes, you were
plank.
working us, girl. You were working us.
Yeah, and we only did that for like 30 seconds, but we all stopped and we were huffing and puffing and hot
Yes,
and
yes.
and so my boys love to do that as a challenge. How long can we go, right?
Wow.
And those little things work when you've got a classroom that's getting kind of squirrely, they
Yeah.
need to move. Like it
Hmm.
didn't take up much space for all of us to hit the floor and do
Yeah.
a round of that.
Love that.
And so it's a great way for teachers to expel some energy out of kids, especially when now I don't know about in Georgia, but like we had like 6 or 7 snow days here in Kansas this year
Mhm.
where they canceled school, right? And even when
Yeah.
they go back to school, there's still snow on the playground. So there's no outside recess.
Yes.
So, we've got to
Hmm.
burn kids' energies in different ways. And yoga is
Yes.
a great way to do it.
I
And
love
everybody's in
that.
their own space.
Yes.
I
And
always
I
say,
love
when you're-
that.
and I
Yeah.
always say, like, when you're on your mat, it is your island. No one else gets to come to
Mm.
your island, and you don't go to anybody else's island unless we're doing
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
partner poses,
Yeah.
right?
That was cool too. That was really cool
Oh,
too.
partner poses are my favorite.
Yeah, so I love that too because in Georgia, it is not required for middle school and high school students to have recess.
Yeah, same.
So a lot of students, I mean, we do it in elementary school and we talk about the benefits of it, but they don't get recess in middle school and high school. So for those teachers who don't have that luxury of that recess time, this is a great practice for them. And I love the different strategies that you're talking about. Tell us about, like, if you have certain students, like we said, there's different ability levels. You may have students with disabilities possibly. How do you adjust or modify your yoga for those students?
Yeah. So I've had some modified and resource students in my classroom before, and they definitely did the yoga because, say you
Mhm.
have a kiddo who is wheelchair bound, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
chair yoga, right? So even
Hmm.
if they're holding up their arms in tree pose,
Yeah.
engage your core, sit up a little straighter, like see if you can pull yourself up.
Yeah.
Yoga can be modified in so many different ways. Or maybe you have a kiddo that struggles with balance.
Mm.
They can put a booty cheek on a chair and go into a
Yeah.
warrior pose, right? For the balance as they
Yes.
build their strength and that core ability to hold them. Because a lot
Yes.
of people don't realize that balance is all about your core. Well, if you
Hmm.
don't build the core, you don't get the balance. And without the
Yeah.
balance, you don't build the core. So there's nothing wrong with having a support.
Yes, exactly.
We offer
Mhm.
supports with reading and math.
I love
We can
that.
have supports for yoga.
That's true. That's true. How do the parents feel about the mindfulness and yoga part? Do y'all share that with the parents? Are they supportive? How does that look for you all?
I mean, there's always going to be some parents that are like, well, that's weird hippie stuff, whatever. But I mean, I also have teenagers, so the kids that want to, they're like, well, I'm going to do it whether you like it or not.
Exactly. Yeah. I got
I've only
you.
ever had one bad interaction, and that was when I was teaching in the 7th grade level. And I had a woman who said, you're not going to teach my child that Muslim da, da,
Got
da, da,
you.
da, da, right? And
Interesting.
she pulled her child from my class, and
Wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
So it was just sad that I didn't get an opportunity to connect with that kiddo. And I wish I could have had
Yes.
more opportunity to help educate the mom on what it is and what it isn't. But it's
Yes.
okay. Everybody is who
Exactly.
they are. They have their own belief systems, and that's okay.
That's true. Yeah. And they have that. They have the right to feel that. That's her truth. One
Mm.
thing that I really love about yoga and meditation and mindfulness is just how it goes across race and religion and all beliefs. I have met people from all walks of life who have yoga has changed their life, and it's it's not about your religion or your background, or like we're all connected, and it's a way that we're connected. And yeah, it's not like, I don't like, even like, for example, when I was in your class, like, I just felt connected to everybody. We
Yeah.
just felt connected in that space. And It wasn't about, because it was all, I mean, all sizes, all shapes, all colors, all ability levels were in
Oh,
that
yeah.
room, and we were just having a great time. The energy of the room was just, it was so uplifting.
Yes, and I
And
was so proud of everybody because there were a few newbies who'd never tried it, like the
yes.
gentleman that was my partner when we were doing partner poses, right? This man, I mean, how tall would you say he was?
And he was over 6'2", 6'3".
Oh,
He was
he
very tall. He might have even been 6'5". He
he
was
was
very tall.
very tall. And
Yes.
so when I was getting ready to partner pose with him, I thought, oh man, I'm really gonna have to stretch to like meet,
Yes, I saw
right?
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And but oh man, he did it. Like
he did.
everybody
That was
just showed,
awesome.
yeah, everyone just
And
showed.
he tried the headstand and did great.
I
He
know. I was
was
like, dude, you
so
are a natural.
excited. He was
Right.
so good. You
Yeah.
would not have known that that was his first time. That was so good.
No, I know.
So
I saw him
good.
later at the conference and I was like, I need you to keep up your yoga
He
practice
needs
and bring
to.
it into your life.
He
And
needs to. And he was from California, wasn't he? I think he was from California. And I'm like, dude, if you're from California, then you should have no issue. Like
yeah,
they're all about it. Like that's the whole thing.
right.
It's
He could
more,
probably go
yeah.
do yoga like naked on a beach and nobody would
I
even,
mean,
oh,
literally, because the South and the Midwest are can be very conservative. And so yeah, he should have no issues. I feel like that shift, there's a shift. I feel
yeah.
like there's a shift in it, and there's more of an acceptance, and that people are starting to realize, especially like my friends and my family, like they know me, they know Jamina, they know, I know we say woo woo or whatever, but like they know me. And so when I'm saying like I love yoga, I do these things, I think it's making it like more accessible to them and more like, oh, well, if Jamina thinks it's okay, I'm hoping that they will feel like, huh, maybe I'll at least try,
Yeah.
because and to see like what it's done for me, that maybe it would make it more accessible to people, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's no longer scary to people because they
Yeah,
know someone who
yeah,
does it, right? Like how
yeah,
many times do you see a new restaurant pop up and you're hopping on social media going, "Hey, anybody gone there before?"
yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
we want to know that it's safe and that it's worth
Mhm.
our time and our energy and our investment. And when we make that
Yeah.
accessible to people, they're more likely to try it and then they get to have their own
No,
experience with it and they can either say, "Yeah, I loved it," or "I hated it."
exactly. Because it might not be, but I would tell everyone, find that something for you. It is something that is going to connect you, that's going to connect you with nature, that's going to connect you, your mind, your body, your spirit, and that's going to help you with that healing process. And self-care is just important. Whatever that, it's a thing, it's something, and it might not be yoga.
Yeah.
But
Like
it,
girls who run to clear
yeah,
their head,
yeah,
girl, it
yeah,
ain't me.
yeah,
But if that's you,
exactly.
good
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you. I can't.
Exactly. Yes. So tell me about, if there's a teacher out there and they're thinking, possibly they want to, bring yoga into their classroom, or mindfulness or breathing or anything like that. What advice would you give an educator who's curious?
So I would say they need to start their own personal practice first because you can't preach the work and the connection and the change unless you've experienced it yourself first. So I
Hmm.
would say start your practice first before you bring it into your classroom.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
And then start with little things. Don't
Yeah.
First time you do yoga, don't try and do a headstand. Don't do it. You're going to hurt yourself. Right? Start slow and small and small little segments, right? Like I think back to like um my first real yoga classes. Had I done
Mhm.
a 45-minute class, I'd have
Mhm.
died.
Yeah, you're
Right? Like
right.
those
You're
small little
right.
things.
Yes.
You
Because
use your body in ways that you don't realize. And
exactly, exactly. I started off with like 8 to 10 minutes.
yeah,
And that was fine. And then eventually, like you said, I built up endurance and built up the strength and the core, and I wanted to. It started being when I would wake up in the morning, I would want to do it. Like I would be excited, like, yay, I I get to do yoga. It was a wanting to versus like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing because I know I need to stretch my legs out because I'm hurting. It was became like, this is really cool. I want to do this thing. So
Mhm.
what has, speaking of that and you saying like, hey, make sure that you're doing the practice for yourself first. What has yoga meant to you personally?
Oh gosh, that's a question. Yoga just, I think if I could just give it one word,
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah.
empowering,
Mm.
because it just empowers you in all the ways you didn't know that you needed.
Yeah.
It just creates so much change in you mentally, physically,
Yeah.
spiritually, your
Yeah.
self-esteem.
Yes.
And it is that's the other thing I think we haven't really touched on yet, but it is an ebb and flow, right? Like there are some days you are rocking your yoga session, you
Yes.
it is amazing, and then the next day you can't balance on both feet. You
Yes.
know? And so just
Yes.
knowing and honoring that every single day is going to be totally different for you
Yes.
inside your yoga practice, because that's also true
Mhm.
for life.
That's good.
So just knowing that there's going to be great days and you get off your mat and you're like, I nailed that. And then other days it's just like, I'm just going to go right into meditation. It's not the day. I had one of those the other day. I was like, I don't know what this is, but
It was, I've had those moments. I'm like, what is happening today? This is just, I couldn't balance. I just kept falling out of the poses. I was just not, it was not there. One thing that I've noticed too is one side of my body is different than the other.
ah,
I might be able to balance better on one side or do something better on the other side than I can on the other one. Yeah, I like that you said that because, and that makes me feel even more confident because some days I'm like, let's go, Jamina. You did that. Other ones, I'm like, ew.
like we're going to pretend that didn't
Glad I was at the house on my own.
yes.
It saw me because that was hot mess express. But yeah, so now I am excited about this and I want you. I'm trying to see if there it is. I want you to talk about this beautiful masterpiece here. This journal here, and I started Megan, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the different breathing that you talk about in there. Love the mantras that you talk about. I have put that as part of my mantra. So I have my own, and I just said affirmations. This is affirmations. It's a fancy. I mean, it's affirmations. I know some people when they hear mantra, again, they're thinking woo woo and all. And then when you say affirmations, it's like, oh, I do affirmation. Then you're doing a mantra, boo. You're just, it's the same thing, but it's fine. If affirmations, if that makes you feel better, that's fine. But I added it to mine. I have some on my mirror, in the bathroom on little sticky notes. And so I go through those and then I just sometimes go through them in my head. And then at the end, I say, I am great. I will be great. Just you watch me. And I'm like, let's go. That just, that just the first time I read your mantras, yeah, I got so emotional because they were just so powerful. And just in general, the artwork in the book is incredible. So just tell us, tell us about your journal and your inspiration to write it.
Okay, so it was kind of a part of, so we don't have evaluations here at work, but they kind of are, but we call them an egg. It's an employee goals and growth. And
Love the
so
acronyms in education.
I can use education, right? So it's just so funny because you'll hear people talking about, yeah, my egg, my egg. It's funny. And so anyway, it was part of my egg. Like, so my boss was like, all right, what's a goal you have for this year? And I'm like, well, I've kind of always wanted to write a mindfulness journal because, like, as a or as a yogi and a person who journals and all that, like, I've had all kinds of mindfulness books and journals and things like that. And I've just never seen one that fully spoke to me. Like, yeah, maybe
Mhm.
there's great prompts in there or activities. And I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
yes, I love that. But the whole
Mhm.
book just didn't speak to me. And
Yeah.
so I just said, you know what? I want to
Mhm.
write a journal. And so I started it last March and
Mhm.
finally finished it this fall. And it's what you have. And so
Yeah.
it does start with some pretty easy, silly prompts just to get you
Yeah.
used to writing and
Mhm.
just kind of checking in with yourself. And then
Yes.
I'm going to get you into some deeper things. It's probably going to hurt your feelings a little bit, but
Okay, and I'm
you're
okay
going to
with
hurt your
that. I'm
own
all
feelings.
for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Yeah, because at the beginning, it's just you're just like you said, very light, just getting to know yourself. Like, what's your favorite color? Why is it? And yeah, if I was a superhero, I would fly. I would fly totally. But things like that, but it was still cool to think about those things. Because I think a lot of times we're just going in life and we don't stop. We're learning so many other things, but how often do we stop and just learn about ourselves? And that's one thing that I love about your journal is it's having me stop. And number one, joyful things every day. Gratitude is a part of it every day. And you can talk about that. But then I'm also just when you're asking those questions, I'm thinking like, what do you mean? Or what do you feel about that? How do you think about that? What would you do? And it's helping me to learn myself. Tell me about or our listeners about the gratitude part of the journal.
Yeah, so the gratitude, it's just the joyful things for 30 days like I talked about earlier. So that's like there's 12 months worth of pages in there for you to do that. So that's the very first thing you do in your journal every day. Write down the thing that brought you joy. And then you go to the actual page where you have the journal prompt for the day. And so
Mm,
in there I have a list of my favorite 10 breathing strategies, and so try them. What's your favorite, right? And so
mhm.
then every day you start with that breathing strategy or your favorite.
Yeah,
The next step in there is to learn how to write a mantra for yourself, or you can use mine. I've
yeah,
put my personal mantra in there that I have used for a very long time.
that's good.
It's in there, so you can use it or write your own. And so you use your breathing strategy, you recite your mantra, and then you journal.
Yeah, I love it. It's simple but so powerful. And the artwork on it is stunningly. I hope they can see how beautiful. I'm going to put a link. You're gonna have to share with us how they can get the journal, and I also want to put a link in the chat to your organization if you have any. That would be my next question is how can we support you? How
Oh,
can we get in contact with you? And I'm gonna make sure, guys, and put her information in the description below. But what can we do for you? We want to get in contact with you or support you. What can we do?
awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah. So my email is Megan Yoder at esac.org. So MEGANYODER at ESDAC, ESSDACK.org. Okay. Email me anytime if you want help figuring out some mindfulness tips or tricks for yourself, for your classroom, whatever. If you would like me to write you a personal mantra, I get
No.
so much joy getting to write mantras for people. So just say, hey, I would love a mantra. I need help with self-confidence or self-esteem, whatever it is for you that you want to work on. I would love, I would be honored to write
I
a
love
mantra for you and
that.
help you through
I love
that.
that.
Um,
Then how can they, if they want a copy of the Healing Path, your journal, how can they get that?
yeah, so it's actually on our website, esdac.org. And if you
Perfect.
click on marketplace and then click on
Okay.
products, and then
Perfect.
there's a search bar and you can just type in the healing path, it'll take you right
Mhm.
to it and you can
Sure. And
add to
we'll make
cart.
sure. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and we've got all kinds of workshops on there too. So if you click on our calendar, we have virtual workshops, we have
Mhm.
workshops that are in person, and we actually have a trauma informed conference coming up April 8th and 9th
Oh,
in
I saw
Wichita.
that. I saw that. And we're on spring break during that time too. So I'm really trying. I am I'm trying to, I need to work on because that would be, I'm all for it. I'm working on that. I'm working on that because it's during my spring break time, so it will be perfect. It
Yeah,
will
oh,
be
that'd be
perfect. I
amazing.
know. I know. It's definitely on my mind. So we'll definitely be talking about that.
Yeah,
So
and girl, if you don't want to book a hotel, you can just come stay at my house.
let's go.
Mhm. It's like a 45-minute drive back to Hutchinson from Wichita, but it's fast. And
That's
I'm
all good.
as much as we talk, like,
Girl, what you say?
right, it'll be
It'll be
gone by.
like 5 minutes?
Yeah, just come
Literally.
stay at my house.
It
I've
was,
got a couple of fat cats that'll want to cuddle you, but it's fine.
but girl, thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to acknowledge you for just the phenomenal woman that you are and the light and the love and the joy that just shines from you. You're just a light. And I noticed it from the moment that I met you, and it just was an instant connection. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And just thank you for all the work that you do. Like, this is very, very meaningful work. And I appreciate your time today and spending this time with me and just making people aware of this beautiful practice and how it could be so transformational for them and their students. So thank you so much for your time
Well,
today.
thank you so much for taking time to hang out with me and chat with me. We could talk all day, and I would actually love that sometime.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
you're amazing. And so
Thank you. I appreciate
namaste.
that. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So as we wrap it up, any parting words or advice that you want to leave with our audience today?
Could we practice a mantra?
Oh, let's go. Let's
Let's
do
do it.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so friends, here's how I practice a mantra. So feet flat on the
Okay.
floor, front of your chair. And I like to place my hands on my chest and feel my heartbeat for that sense of purpose that we're here for, right? So if it feels safe, close your eyes. Take a deep breath, inhale. Exhale slow. One more, inhale deep. Exhale slow. And repeat these words after me. I am me.
I am me.
I am imperfect.
I am imperfect.
And my imperfections
And my imperfections
make me perfect.
make me perfect.
I am worthy of great things.
I am worthy of great things.
I smile at a challenge.
I smile at a challenge.
I strive to grow
I strive to grow
so I can live my best life.
so I can live my best life.
I am kind,
I'm kind
and smart.
and smart.
I am great,
I am great.
and I will be great.
I will be great.
Watch me.
Watch me.
Inhale deep. Exhale slow.
Wow.
There you
I love that. Thank you so, so much,
go.
Megan.
Thank you.
Listen, wonderful educators, just like she said, there's so much greatness in you. Go forth and be great, and I'll see you next time in the Oasis.